Alright, what's going on guys, it's Lone Courier here, and I'm here to tell to you guys today about Rainbow Six Siege and comparing it to Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Now, yeah, this seems like a bit of an out of place video because, well, Rainbow Six's Siege has been out for fucking ages at this point. And I didn't really play it all that much, to be honest with you. It's because I was never really completely keen on the game. Now, the reason why I was never really all that keen on Rainbow Six Siege was because when I was younger, I was a really huge fan of Rainbow Six Vegas 2 and Rainbow Six Vegas 1. Those two games were by far some of my most played games originally, like when I started playing like first person shooters. And it was more Rainbow Six Vegas 2 that I gravitated towards because obviously it's got a lot of improvements over the original Vegas 1. Not saying the Vegas 1 is bad, it's still a great game, it's just I prefer playing Vegas 2. And Rainbow Six Vegas 2 for me was a really unique game because it blended the first person shooter mechanics with third person, and that's something I really find awesome. Now, this is more on the basis of like a single player campaign. I have played Rainbow Six Vegas 2's multiplayer, and to be honest, back in the day it was pretty solid, but obviously nowadays it's not that good because, well, there's a lot of just necessary things that are missing from it. To be honest, it's not that strong as a multiplayer game, but multiplayer was never meant to be the core focus of the game anyway. Then you've got Rainbow Six Siege, and the core focus of that game is multiplayer. Now, mainly I'm a multiplayer kind of guy nowadays. I'd rather play a multiplayer game than a single player game, depending on what multiplayer game it is ultimately. But Rainbow Six Siege, it's just a game that I could never really feel myself wanting to play as much as I wanted to play Rainbow Six Vegas 2, because Rainbow Six Vegas 2, it had a lot on offer for different variations of playstyles. In Rainbow Six Vegas 2, you go for a more stealthy approach, and you could basically turn it into Splinter Cell, to be honest. And you could go around all the time with a silenced Mark 23, that was one of my most favourite playstyles, just gunning terrorists down with the Mark 23 suppressed. You know, I got that My Name is Sam achievement so easily, it was so fun. And I just love the different variations of playstyles you can do. You know, you can play as a shotgun player, you can play as a sniper, you can play as an AR guy, SMG. You know, there's so many variations of playstyles on offer in Vegas 2. And it had co-op in it as well. It had a co-op campaign. It had the terrorist hunt, with obviously you could play it as 4-player online, or you could play it lone wolf, or you could even play it with AI teammates, similar to that in the campaign. In the campaign, you're basically the squad leader for your little Rainbow Six team. I'm not too sure what it is technically, but you're the squad leader, and you've got two guys to command. And you can command them to different locations. Say for example, if you want your team to stack up on the door, slap a breach in, charge in, while you go in through the window or go in through another door, that's a very viable solution to an encounter. You know, there's different ways you can go at it. And then you've got Rainbow Six Siege, where it just had multiplayer, and it had situations, and it had terrorist hunt. Now situations, basically, are just terrorist hunt. And there's nothing more to them other than they're just little intro missions to get you into the game and get you used to the way the game is. Now, Rainbow Six Siege, when it comes to the terrorist hunt, it's not too bad. There's a couple of things I'm not too keen on overall in terrorist hunt and Siege, and that's mainly just the fact that there's no regenerating health. And I feel like certain games do suit regenerating health and certain games shouldn't have. Like arena shooters, they shouldn't have regenerating health. It's just been a way that they've always been. You know, you don't have regenerating health, you have to go and pick up health kits. And Rainbow Six was always a game that more suited regenerating health, in my opinion. You know, it was a very tactical game, you know, where you take some fire, you jump into cover, you wait for your health to regenerate. You know, you wait for your opportunity and you pop back up and you kill them. You know, you kill the terrorist. That's the way it usually goes. But Siege, it's just quite infuriating because with the non-regenerated health, you can kind of just whittle all your health away in the first gunfight and get instantly melted in the next. Now, I'm not saying that that's bad. That's all down to player's skill level. But for a terrorist hunt, I feel like there should be regenerating health, you know. Multiplayer is kinda cool, it's slightly unique with the way it includes it, but overall, I'm not too keen on it in multiplayer. And then you've obviously got the multiplayer aspect of Siege, which is all attack and defend, You know, it's very non-respawn heavy, and it's a very high skill requiring game. You know, the original Rainbow Six Vegas 2 multiplayer, it was, you know, it's debated whether or not it's skill based or not, because, you know, you can insta melt somebody, and it just generally feels quite weird. Rainbow Six Siege is better multiplayer. I'm gonna give it that. That's one thing I definitely will say in Siege's, you know, defense. It had great multiplayer, and I feel like the campaign being not being there really just kind of limited the game's potential, for me at least, because single player campaigns are quite an important thing. Even if I don't play them all the time, I usually play multiplayer, but a single player campaign can mean the world of difference to a video game. Look at Doom, for example. If Doom 2016 never had single player, that game would have been dead on arrival, because, well, the multiplayer was basically dead on arrival. The only thing that people were interested in with Doom 2016 was campaign. And, you know, it's been debated with other games, you know, they don't have campaigns, whether or not they should have. Titanfall's a good example. I don't like the way they included the campaign, if you can call it that, in the original Titanfall game. I'm glad to hear that they're going to have a real campaign in the next Titanfall game. But Siege not having one really kind of changed the game for me, because I went into it expecting Rainbow Six Vegas 2 in a Siege-like situation, but just better. You know, Rainbow Six Vegas 2 had, you know, if you built it a certain way, you could have good Siege gameplay to it. You know, where there's attack and defend, you know, you're defending a hostage. You know, there's parts of like that in the campaign, which is pretty damn awesome. And it's just the way they execute it, I'm not too keen on. I mean, there is different things in the multiplayer that's cool, like the different operators with their different gadgets, that's pretty cool. But I'm not too keen on the way they've all got like selective weapons and whatnot. I wish you could just pick one weapon across all of the classes, you know, like you can pick the recruit class and you can pick a weapon from basically any of the attackers or any of the defenders. I thought that was quite cool, but I'm not keen on the way it is. And you know, how one operator can only have 2 weapons or something, or selective attachments is just something I'm not very happy about. But Siege multiplayer, it's very different to Rainbow Six Vegas 2 multiplayer, because obviously in Vegas 2 multiplayer it's just very, you're dead immediately because of the way it is nowadays. But in Siege multiplayer, it's very tactical, you know, it's either very tactical or very just bum rushy, to be honest. You know, you get some people that just try and bum rush everyone, or you get people that try and play to Tachanka and just sit in a corner the entire time. You know, it borderlines between tactical and just being quite campy. You know, you get people that play it in a way where they just rush in and want to gun everybody down like Rambo style and whatnot, and that obviously doesn't work. And it's just something I'm not too keen on the multiplayer, you know, I'm not too keen on the pacing to it. Now, the pacing's quite similar to Rainbow Six Vegas 2's campaign. It's very slow. I'm not saying that the campaign's slow paced, it's just the combat style is very slow, because, you know, it's not like you have a retarded AI that can't fucking shoot you. You know, the AI are damn good at shooting you, and you will die very quickly if you step out into the open. You know, there's been times where I get killed in the campaign and I think, what the fuck just killed me? But I'm pretty sure it's also the AI having one-shot kill headshots, which is like it is in Siege multiplayer. It's just that Siege multiplayer is just, it's not my cup of tea, to be honest with you. And obviously with it not having a single-player campaign, it's just something I felt like should be there. And it doesn't really make much sense to me why they would opt out of having a campaign. You know, there's been other games that had excuses for not having a campaign. For example, Star Wars Battlefront apparently didn't have a campaign due to issues with the Force Awakens coming out. Something stupid like that. I can't really remember at this point what the actual explanation was, but you know, they tried to come out with some reason as to why the game never had a real campaign, and everybody just kind of thought, shut the fuck up, because, you know, Battlefront never had a campaign, and that kind of kneecapped the game. And that's what I kind of feel like with Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, for other people, they may like it and love it, and obviously the game is doing extremely well. It's one of the most popular games right now. Well, not one of the most popular games right now. I feel like that's a bit, you know, just a bit of a blind statement. It's just really extremely popular, to be honest. It's kind of like an alternate version of CSGO, which is something that's kind of cool, to be honest with you, and I kind of like their plan to it. You know, how they're going to make it last over a couple of years. But the thing I'm not happy about is just how I don't really like the game as a whole, and I'm going to have to wait a couple of more years for another Rainbow Six game to come out, which, judging by its popularity, it might not even be a real Rainbow Six Vegas kind of game. It might be more like Rainbow Six Siege, and that's something I wouldn't be keen on because, well, I prefer the multiplayer of the Vegas 2 to Siege, and I prefer the way Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is, but, you know, some people prefer Siege, and obviously Siege did a lot more, like, it's obviously got a lot more players on, and I don't know, but it might be a more popular game. You know, I just feel like Siege is going to be the game that's going to get a sequel rather than like a Rainbow Six Vegas 3, which is something I would love to see happen. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's just been a bit rambly because I felt like talking about Rainbow Six Vegas 2 because I played the campaign this afternoon, and I just remembered how fucking good this game is, man. And I just sat down, you know, I watched one of Horse's videos last night, and I saw some Rainbow Six, well, I saw Rainbow Six sitting in my room last night, and I was like, you know what, I just watched this video, I'm going to go install it and play it on my Xbox One, and I did, and I really did enjoy it. And I played some Siege afterwards, and I just thought, dude, just this game, I don't really like it compared to Vegas 2. It's just petty and opinion based, but yeah. Plus with Vegas 2, there's a bunch of other things that I honestly prefer in that game to Rainbow Six Siege. One of them is mainly just Siege being operator based. You know, there's no real focus on customization, which is something I'm not happy about, because in Rainbow Six Vegas 2 they took quite a lot of effort into making your character somewhat of a blank slate and letting you customize your character how you see fit. Whether you want to play as a female or a male, a Caucasian character or an African American character, you could do that. You know, you could customize the shit out of your character. You could customize the armor he wears, how much armor he has, you know, the level of protection that you'll have out in the field, or the level of mobility that you'll have out in the field at the sacrifice of the amount of armor that you can carry. And it's stuff like that that makes me prefer Vegas 2 over Siege, because it gives you a lot more choice to the game. You know, in Siege you're just stuck to this one playstyle of just attack or defend, and in Rainbow Six Vegas 2 you really could play in a multiple different groups of ways. You know, you could play like very assault heavy, you could play as a submachine gun, you could play a silenced pistol like Sam Fisher, you could play as a sniper, a shotgunner, shield user, whatever it is, you can play as it. And obviously there's a lot of other different choices of how you can play in Rainbow Six Siege, but it doesn't matter on defense if you're playing with an SMG, an AR, or a shotgun. You're all going to be playing the same way anyway, and that's defensive, or, you know, you could be a roamer, but, you know, that's not very common as well. Or you could be playing attack, and most commonly you're just playing as attack, and it doesn't matter whether you're using a shotgun or an AR, you're still using the same playstyle. And it's just in Rainbow Six Vegas 2 give you a lot more options. Even in the multiplayer you can play a lot more differently, and that's just why I prefer it. You know, the character customization, the story, the multiplayer, there's so many things that I prefer of Vegas 2 to Siege. I'm not saying that Siege is a bad game, it's still fine, but, you know, I kind of would have preferred Rainbow Six Patriots instead of Rainbow Six Siege. But it's a good enough game. It's still better than most out there, but it could be better, and quite honestly Vegas 2 beats the shit out of it in many different respects. Obviously if you're going to go back and play it for the first time, you're going to think, oh well, Siege is so much better than this, because Vegas 2 is an old game, it feels clunky, it's got old mechanics to it, you know, there's a lot of things that are outdated in that game. It's just, it looks old and it looks tired. But don't let that fool you. Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is still a lot more enjoyable than Rainbow Six Siege in my honest opinion. As I said before, I'm not saying that Siege is terrible, I'm just saying that I prefer Vegas 2. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. It's been a Lone Courier, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you've got any opinions on this, if you think Siege is better than Vegas 2, if you think Vegas 2 is the biggest crock of shit ever known to gaming, leave that in the comments, because I'd love to hear from you guys. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.